Hello everyone, welcome to Deep Sight. Today we are going to talk about the history of Arab civilization. Arab civilization refers to a civilization with Arabic as its main language, Islam as its main religion, and the Arabian Peninsula as its birthplace. Arab civilization has a profound impact on world history and culture. Like the Persian civilization introduced in the previous issue, Arab civilization is not a native civilization. Native civilization refers to a civilization that develops independently without being affected by other civilizations. It usually has unique characteristics: language, writing, religion, politics, economy, culture, and other characteristics. According to this definition, both Arab civilization and Persian civilization were influenced and borrowed from other civilizations such as ancient Egypt and Mesopotamian civilization. Arab civilization and Persian civilization also influenced and communicated with each other, such as in religion, language, culture, science, art, etc. Both Arab civilization and Persian civilization are important civilizations and have made important contributions to world history and culture. Let us learn about its origin, development, rise and fall, and contribution to human civilization. First, let's take a look at the origin and race of the Arabs. Arabs are people whose native language is Arabic or who identify with Arabic culture and history. They are mainly distributed in West Asia, North Africa, and East Africa. The origins and history of the Arabs is a complex topic with varying opinions and accounts. According to the research of some historians and archaeologists, the Arabs may have gradually migrated and spread northward from ancient peoples in the southern Arabian Peninsula, such as the Saba people, the Himyar people, the Minya people, etc. Their language, writing, religion, culture, etc. were also influenced by ancient civilizations such as Egypt, Mesopotamia, Persia, Greece, and Rome. The racial classification of Arabs is a controversial topic because the origin of Arabs may be affected by many factors, such as geography, history, culture, religion, etc. Generally speaking, Arabs can be considered part of the Semitic race, but there may also be elements of other races, such as Caucasian, African, Asian, etc. The Semitic race refers to people who mainly speak Semitic languages. According to biblical records, their ancestor is Shem, the son of Noah and one of the ancestors of mankind. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. After the Great Flood, they became the ancestors of mankind on earth. The descendants of Shem are mainly distributed in West Asia and North Africa and are called Semites or Semites. Their languages are called Semitic languages and include Arabic, Hebrew, Akkadian, Armenian, and others. The name Shem means fame or nobility in Hebrew. Abraham, an important figure in the Old Testament of the Bible that we know well, is the 10th generation grandson of Shem. There is a gap of about 400 years between them. Let's talk about the origins of the Arabs in detail. The next period of history is very important and will allow everyone to understand the historical roots of today's Middle East structure. Let's first talk about Abraham and his descendants. Abraham is an important figure in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. According to the Bible and the Quran, he had 2 main wives and a number of children. Sarah was Abraham's first wife and his cousin. They experienced many hardships together and left their homeland to migrate to the land of Canaan. Sarah was the mother of Isaac, who later became one of the ancestors of the Jews. Hagar was Abraham's second wife, a maid from Egypt. Since Sarah was unable to conceive, she allowed Hagar to have a son with Abraham, named Ishmael, who became one of the ancestors of Islam. In addition to Sarah and Hagar, Abraham had other wives and children. Famous wives include Keturah, Abraham's third wife. According to the Bible, they gave birth to 6 sons together: Zimran, Joshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbah, and Shua. Each of these sons became the ancestors of different peoples and tribes, and their descendants spread throughout the Middle East and Africa. For example, the descendants of Joshan became the Ishmaelites, and the descendants of Midian became the Midianites. Their relationship sheds light on their futures and different destinies. The son of Isaac was Jacob, also known as Israel. Jacob gave birth to 12 sons, and these people became the 12 tribes of Israel. The name Jacob in Hebrew means to seize or cheat. The name comes from the biblical story of Jacob grabbing his twin brother Esau's heel at birth. The name Israel means "let God fight" in Hebrew. The later famous Moses was the 6th generation descendant of Abraham and belonged to the tribe of Levi. He was born in Egypt, but was called by God as an adult to lead the Israelites out of Egyptian slavery and began a long-distance migration, eventually returning to God's promised land Canaan, which is today's Israel and Palestine. Let's look at the ancestor of the Arabs, Abraham's eldest son Ishmael. In the Jewish Hebrew Bible or Tanakh, Ishmael is the eldest son born to Abraham's maid Hagar. God's prophecy to him is, "He will be like a wild ass. His hand will be against man, and their hand will be against him, and he will live east of his brothers, and his descendants will be so numerous that they will be innumerable." Later, Ishmael lived in the wilderness, became an archer, and was promised by God to become the ancestor of a great nation. Ishmael in Islam. It is also recorded that Ishmael was the son of Abraham and Hagar. He is revered as a prophet in Islam. Ishmael lived to be 137 years old and had 12 sons. So in the entire pattern of the Middle East, what we see are actually several different groups, the Arab countries composed of the descendants of Abraham, and Israel composed of the Jews. Their ancestors are half-brothers. Today, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq, where wars frequently break out, are composed of multiple ethnic groups such as Arabs, Kurds, Armenians, Turkmens, etc. Islamization includes a large number of modern Arab countries of mixed Eurasian descent. Iran, on the other hand, is an Islamized Persian ethnic group with Aryan ancestors who mainly believe in Shias, and Turkey is an ethnic group of Turks who once established the Ottoman Empire, mainly believing in Sunni Islam. Although they are both Islamic countries, they both have different backgrounds, belong to different sects, and have very different backgrounds from other Arab countries. This kind of analysis allows us to trace the root causes of today's complex situation and clearly understand the underlying logic and causes of contradictions and differences. So throughout history, they are all descendants of Abraham. From a distant perspective, the Arabs are basically the descendants of Shem. Semitic characteristics include black or brown hair, brown or black eyes, olive or brown skin, narrow nose, prominent cheekbones, etc. Compared with Caucasian race, African race, and Asian race, it also has its own unique characteristics. Since the Arab region has experienced many migrations, conquests, and integrations, the race of the Arabs may have varied and mixed. Therefore, Arabs cannot simply be classified as one race, but their diversity and complexity should be considered. Next, let's look at Arabic and writing. Arabic is a Semitic language and one of the most spoken languages in the world. It is also one of the official languages of the United Nations. The Arabic language has a long history, with the earliest Arabic writing dating back to rock inscriptions in the 8th century BC. Classical Arabic is the oldest and purest form of Arabic, and it appears mainly in poetry, stories, proverbs, and other literary works of the Arabian Peninsula. The most important document in classical Arabic is Islam's holy book, the Quran, which is considered the standard and authority for the Arabic language. Classical Arabic is characterized by complex grammar, rich vocabulary, beautiful phonology, and precise expressions. It has experienced medieval Arabic grammar simplification, vocabulary borrowing, phonological changes, and flexible expression. The modern Arabic language developed is the most modern and popular form. It mainly appears in daily life, education, media, literature and art, sports, religion, and other aspects of communication in Arab countries. The most important feature of modern Arabic is its diversity, which can be divided into two types. Arabic script is a script written from right to left and consists of 28 basic letters and some additional symbols. The origin of Arabic writing can be traced back to ancient Aramaic writing in the 4th century BC. It has evolved through several stages, such as Nabatean writing, Muzabar writing, Kufi writing, Naskh writing, and Talaq writing, Sani script, Ottoman script, Maghrib script, etc. Arabic script is characterized by the fact that the shape and connection of letters changes with location and environment, the pronunciation of letters change with dialect and tone, and the writing and decoration of letters change with style and beauty. Next, let's take a look at the rise and fall of Arab civilization. The history of Arab countries can be divided into the following periods. Ancient Arabian period. This is the first and most primitive period of the Arab countries. It begins in the 6th century BC and ends in the 7th century AD. During this period, a number of tribal-based kingdoms and confederations emerged in the Arabian Peninsula. These kingdoms and alliances mainly relied on economic activities such as agriculture, animal husbandry, trade, and handicrafts, and developed some unique cultures and arts. These kingdoms and alliances were also influenced and interfered by surrounding powers such as Persia, Rome, Byzantium, Ethiopia, Aksum, etc., and a large number of alliances and struggles occurred between them. As a result, in nearly 1,000 years, Arabia has never formed an independent and unified big country, but exists among major countries in the form of tribes and small kingdoms. Islamic Arab period. This was the most glorious and powerful period of the Arab countries. It started from the 7th century AD and ended in the 13th century AD. This period is known as the Islamic Golden Age of Arabia. Arabs have made great achievements and influence in religion, politics, culture, science, art, and other aspects. This is a period full of innovation, progress, prosperity, and harmony, but also a period full of conflict, division, decline, and turmoil. During this period, the Arabs established the Islamic Empire and made it one of the most powerful and vast empires in the world at that time. Their territory ranged from Spain to India, Central Asia to Africa, covering 3 continents and more than 50 countries. Their population once reached about 100 million, accounting for a quarter of the world's population at that time. Between the 6th century BC and the 7th century AD, the political structure of the Arabian Peninsula experienced many changes, with the rise and fall of many kingdoms and tribes, such as the Kingdom of Nabatea, the Kingdom of Himyar, and the Kingdom of Lahim, Ghazan Kingdom, etc. During this period, most of the Arabian Peninsula was polytheistic, but there were also some adherents to Judaism and Christianity. In this context, a man named Muhammad appeared. He was a member of a tribe in the Arabian Peninsula. He claimed that he had received God's revelation and became God's messenger. He began to spread a new religion, which was Islam. Islam is a strict monotheistic religion. It believes that there is only one God, Allah, who is the creator and master of all things. He has no partners or children. He is the most merciful and compassionate. It is also a religion that believes in the only true God, Allah. It uses the Quran as its holy scripture, Sharia, Islamic law, as its basic regulations, and Muslims, Islamists, as its believers. Followers of Islam must observe 5 basic beliefs and behaviors, namely faith, prayer, fasting, zakat, and hajj. The Quran is based on revelations from Muhammad and is the highest authority and guide in Islam. Muhammad first began to spread Islam in his birthplace of Mecca, but he was opposed and persecuted by the local polytheists. He and his followers were forced to move to another city, Medina, in 622. This migration is known as the beginning of the Islamic calendar and a turning point in Islam. In Medina, Muhammad established a political and social organization based on Islam. He became the leader and judge of Medina. He also began a war with Mecca, eventually conquering Mecca in 630. Spread Islam to most of the Arabian Peninsula. In 632, Muhammad died without leaving any heirs or successors, and his followers began a dispute and struggle over who should succeed him, which also led to the divisions and sects of Islam. Eventually, Muhammad's followers chose a man called the Caliph as his successor. Caliph means agent or successor. He is the supreme leader of Islam. He is responsible for managing the political, military, religious, and legal affairs of Islam. The first caliph was Muhammad's father-in-law and friend Abu Bakr. He ruled the followers of Islam between 632 and 634. He continued Muhammad's cause and expanded the influence of Islam to Syria, Iraq, and Palestine, and other areas. The Caliphate dynasty, also called the Orthodox dynasty, is composed of the 4 successors of Muhammad, namely the 4 Orthodox Caliphs, namely the Orthodox, Umayyads, Abbasids, Fatimids, etc. The reign of the Orthodox dynasty was short, only 30 years, but it was the most important period in Islamic history because during this period, the basic teachings and laws of Islam, as well as the official version of the Quran, were determined. The last caliph of the Orthodox dynasty, Ali, was Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law. His rule was opposed by some Muslims, leading to the outbreak of the First Islamic Civil War. As a result of this civil war, Ali was assassinated, and the faction that opposed him, the Umayyad family, established a new dynasty, the Umayyad dynasty. The Umayyad dynasty was the first hereditary dynasty in Islamic history and ruled from 661 to 750 AD. The capital of the Umayyad dynasty was Damascus. Its territory included a vast area from Spain to India. It was one of the most powerful empires in the world at that time. The Umayyad rulers, especially Abdul Malik and Abdul Aziz, made important contributions to the political, economic, cultural, and religious aspects of the Islamic world. They established a unified currency system, promoted Arabic as the official language, and built many magnificent mosques and palaces, such as the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus and the Córdoba Mosque in Spain. They also supported the spread and development of Islam, respected the diversity of different ethnic groups and religions, and protected various academic and artistic activities, such as history, geography, astronomy, medicine, music, poetry, etc. The decline of the Umayyad dynasty was mainly due to internal divisions and external threats. The internal division mainly refers to the fact that the rulers of the Umayyad dynasty ignored the principle of equality of Muslims and were too luxurious and autocratic, which aroused dissatisfaction and resistance from other Muslims. The most influential group among them is the descendants of Ali. Shiites believe that only people of Ali's lineage are qualified to become caliph. External threats mainly refer to attacks from the Persians from the east and the Franks from the west. The leader of the Persians, Abbas, was a descendant of Muhammad's uncle. He took advantage of the instability of the Umayyad dynasty and launched a rebellion that eventually overthrew the Umayyad dynasty in 750 and established a new dynasty, the Abbasid dynasty. The Abbasid dynasty was the most glorious dynasty in Islamic history, ruling from 750 to 1258 AD. The capital of the Abbasid dynasty was Baghdad. Its territory included a vast area from North Africa to Central Asia. It was one of the richest and most civilized empires in the world at that time. The Abbasid rulers, especially Harun al-Rashid and al-Mansur, made outstanding contributions to the political, economic, cultural, and scientific aspects of the Islamic world. They established a strong central government, maintained social order and security, promoted the development of trade and agriculture, and improved the people's living standards. They also established the most famous academic institutions in the world, such as Beit Hekma in Baghdad, the Palace of Wisdom, which invited scholars from different countries and cultures to translate and study ancient Greece, ancient India, ancient China, etc. The classic works of civilization created great achievements in the fields of Islamic philosophy, mathematics, physics, chemistry, astronomy, medicine, engineering, architecture, literature, art, and other fields. This period of the Abbasid dynasty is known as the peak of the Islamic Golden Age. The decline of the Abbasid dynasty was mainly due to internal divisions and external aggression. Internal divisions mainly refer to the fact that the Abbasid rulers gradually lost control of various places, leading to independence or rebellion in some places. Some of the most influential local dynasties, such as the Al-Andalus dynasty in Spain, the Fatimid dynasty in Egypt, the Samanid dynasty in Iran, and the Seljuk dynasty in Turkey, all challenged Abbas to a certain extent. The authority and leadership of the Sri Lankan dynasty. Although these local dynasties are also part of the Islamic world, they have their own characteristics and development in politics, economy, culture, and religion. For example, the Al-Andalus dynasty was one of the most prosperous and open periods in European history. Its capital, Córdoba, was one of the largest cities in the world at that time and a center of learning and art, attracting people from all over the world. People from different countries and faiths worked together to create a cultural blend of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. The Fatimid dynasty was an important representative of Shi'ism. Its capital, Cairo, was a political and economic center in Africa and the Middle East at that time. It was also the base for the learning and spread of Islam. It established the oldest religious institution in the world, University, Al-Azhar University in Giza. The Samanid dynasty was a period of revival of Persian culture. Its rulers attached great importance to the development of Persian language and Persian literature and supported various scientific and philosophical research, such as the mathematician Al-Khwarizmi and the astronomer Runi, the philosopher Ibn Sina, and others. The Seljuk dynasty was a powerful dynasty of the Turks. Its rulers expanded the borders of the Islamic world, resisted attacks from the Mongols from the east and the Crusaders from the west, and also protected Islam. Holy places such as Mecca, Medina, and Jerusalem, etc. External aggression mainly refers to threats from the Mongols and Crusaders. The Mongols were nomadic people from Central Asia. They established a huge empire in the early 13th century, sweeping across most of Asia and Europe, including many parts of the Islamic world. The invasion of the Mongols brought huge disasters and destruction to the Islamic world. Many cities and cultural heritage were destroyed, countless people were massacred, and the glory of the Islamic Golden Age was dimmed. In 1258, the Mongols captured Baghdad, the capital of the Abbasid dynasty, killing the last Abbasid Caliph, ending the rule of the Abbasid dynasty and marking the end of the Islamic Golden Age. The Crusaders were Christians from Europe who launched many wars against the Islamic world between the 11th and 13th centuries with the goal of retaking Jerusalem and other holy places. The Crusade Wars brought great pressure and losses to the Islamic world. This process also promoted exchanges and influence between Europe and the Islamic world to a certain extent. Europeans also learned many sciences from the Islamic world. Knowledge of technology, culture, and art that contributed to the European Renaissance. Medieval Arab period. This is the most complex and diverse period of the Arab countries. It begins in the 13th century AD and ends in the 19th century AD. During this period, the Arab Empire no longer existed and was replaced by some Arab countries characterized by ethnic, regional, sectarian, political, cultural, and other factors, such as the Mamluk dynasty of Egypt, the Marin dynasty of Morocco, and the Kazakhstan dynasty of Tunisia, the Al-Fs dynasty, the Zion dynasty of Algeria, the Ras dynasty of Yemen, the Urubid dynasty of Oman, the Al dynasty of Iraq, the Ayyubid dynasty of Syria, the Saud dynasty of Saudi Arabia, etc. These Arab countries mainly rely on economic activities such as agriculture, industry, commerce, shipping, etc. Modern Arab period. This is the most turbulent and transformative period of the Arab countries, which began in the 19th century AD and is still ongoing today. During this period, Arab countries faced the impact and challenges of Western colonialism, imperialism, capitalism, nationalism, socialism, democracy, human rights, and other ideological trends and movements, and also experienced a series of revolutions, wars, events, and processes such as independence, unification, division, development, crisis, cooperation, and conflict have gradually formed the pattern of today's Arab countries. These Arab countries mainly rely on oil, natural gas, minerals, tourism, finance, and other economic activities to develop today's unique culture and art. Finally, let us summarize the impact of Arab civilization on the world. Arab civilization is a civilization with a long history, rich and colorful, open and inclusive, innovative and progressive. It has had a profound impact on the history and culture of the world in different eras, regions, fields, levels, ways, and degrees, such as. In terms of religion, Arab civilization founded Islam, which is the largest single religion in the world, with more than 2 billion believers in more than 200 countries and regions around the world, and has a profound impact on the world's politics, economy, culture, society, and morality. Law, art, and other aspects have had an important impact. In terms of language, Arab civilization developed Arabic, which is one of the most widely spoken languages in the world and one of the official languages of the United Nations, contributing to world literature, science, philosophy, medicine, mathematics, astronomy, geography. History has had an important impact in other fields. In terms of culture, Arab civilization created Arab culture, which is a culture with unique style, distinctive features, and wide influence, which has exerted important influence on the world's architecture, sculpture, painting, poetry, stories, music, dance, and other fields. Influence. The above is a brief introduction to the history of Arab civilization, as well as their contribution to the development of world civilization and their influence on modern times. I believe that after watching this video, you will have a good understanding of Arab history, culture, and civilization. The Arab civilization is an important and great civilization in history. It has left a profound mark on history. Its influence and legacy still exist today and are worthy of our in-depth study and understanding. If you want to know more details and stories, please subscribe to our channel and we will provide you with more exciting content. Thank you for watching. See you next time.